virus. The new state with a presumptive case and a mystery about another.
Our third case did not recently travel overseas.
While schools here disinfect everywhere they can, President Trump pushing back on critics.
Democrats are politicizing the coronavirus.
The heightened new travel advisories. Plus, Dr. Ashton joins us live to answer your questions. We have team coverage this morning.
To the polls, the South Carolina primary. Democrats battling for delegates with voting starting right now. Joe Biden hoping for a rebound, the last-minute push overnight to sway voters, and how the outcome could affect Super Tuesday.
Winter whiteout, blizzard conditions in the Northeast, roads buried under 4 feet of snow, littered with accidents, and now a powerful new storm set to march across the country.
Wild chase. A man hijacking an ambulance, plowing through a gas station, ramming police officers trying to stop him, tearing through some of Philly's busiest streets. How it all finally ended.
And Lizzo's lawsuit.
I just took a DNA test, turns out I'm 100%.
The singer's fight over a credit controversy involving the lyrics to her breakout hit song. Who will the truth really hurt?
Live from ABC News in New York, this is Good Morning America.
Hey, good morning. Happy Saturday. Let's get straight to our top story, the latest on the coronavirus. Here's what we know as we come on the air. Oregon has confirmed its first presumptive case of the new coronavirus, which is awaiting confirmation from the CDC. Washington State, meanwhile, has announced 2 presumptive cases, one likely travel-related, one possibly spread through the community. New cases have been confirmed in California, including that state's second case of unknown origin. And there are now at least 62 confirmed cases total in the U.S. Globally, there are more than 85,000 cases in at least 60 countries with more than 2,900 deaths.
The World Health Organization raising the global risk assessment to its highest level as Denmark, Estonia, Lithuania, the Netherlands, Nigeria, and Mexico all confirm their first cases of the virus.
The CDC announcing it will now allow states to do their own testing, but the agency will still need to confirm positive results. ABC's Kaylee Hartung is at UC Davis Medical Center in Sacramento, where a woman contracted the virus, apparently without having contact with anyone who traveled abroad. She is in serious condition. Kaylee, good morning to you.
Good morning, Eva. The number of people infected in the United States is growing. The latest concern, as highlighted by that woman hospitalized here in Sacramento, is people getting sick through unknown lines of transmission.
Overnight, new coronavirus cases on the West Coast, raising concerns of a potential pandemic. In California, health officials confirming another case of unknown origin.
Like the California case reported 2 days ago, our third case did not recently travel overseas or have any known contact with a recent traveler or an infected person.
The new patient, health officials say, is a woman who's had trouble breathing. Now hospitalized, authorities are racing to track down anyone she may have come into contact with. And in Oregon overnight, that state's first presumptive case of COVID-19.
There was no known travel exposure for this individual. So this is a case of community spread of the disease, much like the case from California.
The patient, a school employee who may have exposed students and staff. But public health officials are also urging caution. And in Washington State, a student who developed symptoms early last week, but apparently returned to school after feeling better.
There was no travel history associated with this case. We do not yet know the possible source of infection.
The CDC is now permitting states to do their own virus testing. The goal, to have every state and local health department up and running by next week with this kit. While most cases appear to be mild, states are doing what they can to contain the virus. As more hospitals gain access to kits, the number of diagnosed cases will most likely rise.
The World Health Organization has raised its risk level for coronavirus to very high at a global level. They also say many hospitals around the world are not prepared for the epidemic. Whit.
Certainly alarming. Kaylee Hartung, our thanks to you. And the spread of the coronavirus around the world is raising concerns about travel as well. And the State Department has now increased its travel advisory for Italy for the second time this week. ABC's Stephanie Ramos is at Newark Liberty International Airport with the latest on that side of the story. Stephanie, good morning.
Good morning. Here at Newark Airport, roughly 1,200 planes fly in and out every day. That's thousands of people from around the globe interacting with each other. And there are questions about which travelers from which countries should be screened. But we're now learning about a government worker who returned to Newark from China, bypassing the quarantine period.
This morning, new concerns about the handling of the coronavirus outbreak. A union representing government workers says an employee for the Department of Homeland Security was told to report to work in Newark after returning from travel in China, a violation of the quarantine period. The employee has not shown any symptoms of infection, but the incident is now raising questions about CDC guidelines and prevention procedures. Around the globe, 58 countries have been impacted. Countries in Asia taking a huge hit. In South Korea, an American service member and his wife have both fallen ill. And in Italy, cases have surged. The State Department now raising its travel advisory for Italy to level 3, telling Americans to reconsider travel.
First, it didn't seem too bad, but then Milan, which was up north of us, started getting a lot worse a lot quicker.
Overnight, students from the University of New Haven deciding to cut short their study abroad in Italy.
If there was any chance that I couldn't travel because of quarantine or something else, I was just like, I'd rather be at home.
DHS says they've been screening all passengers coming from China, the virus's epicenter, by routing passengers through 11 airports here in the U.S.
DHS has not returned ABC's request for comment about whether passengers from other hard-hit areas are also being tested. Dan.
Stephanie, thank you. As with nearly everything else in this profoundly polarized era, coronavirus has unsurprisingly become a political issue. President Trump out there defending his administration's response to the outbreak as his critics attack. ABC's Kira Phillips is at the White House this morning with more. Kira, good morning to you.
Good morning, Dan. Well, from a diving down to protective gear to protecting the message, as the coronavirus continues to spread, the White House challenged daily to come up with answers.
Overnight, President Trump counter-programming the Democratic primary in Charleston, South Carolina, insisting he has everything coronavirus under control, pushing back on Democratic criticism.
The Democrats are politicizing the coronavirus. You know that, right? Coronavirus.
This coming prior to the emergence of more baffling cases where patients tested positive but had no obvious contact with anyone with the virus. And the message from the White House in recent days, pointing the finger at the media.
The press was covering their hoax of the day because they thought it would bring down the president. The reason you're saying so much attention to it today is that they think this is going to be what brings down the president.
On Capitol Hill, anxiety over the virus is bipartisan. Republican Senator Tom Tillis writing a letter to the defense secretary saying this global outbreak is concerning and presents an enduring and uncertain threat. The outbreak also rattling markets, with Wall Street having its worst week since the 2008 financial crisis, sparking fear of economic downturn. The president blaming the recent stock market troubles in part on the Democrats running for president.
I also think the people are not happy when they look at what's running on the other side.
And Eva, as you know, the administration has been facing a lot of criticism for its messaging, but the White House is claiming transparency, actually dispatching Dr. Anthony Fauci, one of the country's leading experts on the contagious diseases, to brief members of Congress. And when I spoke to Dr. Fauci this week, I asked him about reports that the White House directed him not to say anything further about the virus without clearance. Well, he told me that that was not true and that those reports have been taken out of context. Eva?
All right. Thank you so much for your reporting. Let's bring in ABC News Chief Medical Correspondent Dr. Jennifer Ashton joining us from Massachusetts this morning. First of all, let's get right to it. Who should be tested and why?
Well, Eva, that has been the issue this week, and for good reason. Here are the new guidelines issued at the end of the week from the CDC to help guide evaluation for persons under interest or investigation for having coronavirus. Let me take you through them. It requires evaluation with testing for someone with a fever or signs or symptoms and close contact with a known case of coronavirus, or fever and symptoms requiring hospitalization. That really is response to that first community-acquired case we saw in California, where there was a delayed period of testing in a person who has recent travel to one of the highly affected areas. And lastly, someone with fever and severe lower respiratory disease. So this is someone on a ventilator in an ICU setting where we can't find any other explanation. Eva, if you walked in with a fever and a cough, you would be checked appropriately for influenza before coronavirus. And we have a saying in medicine, when you look for something, you will find it. So we do expect to see more cases, even community-acquired ones.
Now, what about the timing and capacity? What is going on at the state level?
That's getting ramped up quickly. We've heard the CDC say by the end of this week, they want states and local health departments to be able to run their own tests. That will help to expedite things. If they were to get a positive result, that specimen will need to be confirmed in Atlanta. But again, we're seeing a lot of catch up here because they need more kits and they need to be able to process these tests at the state and local level.
All right, Dr. Jennifer Ashton for us. Thank you so much. And we'll have much more on the coronavirus coming up, including Dr. Ashton answering your questions about the virus. Whit.
All right, Eva, the other big story we're following this morning today, voters are heading to the polls in South Carolina, a primary that could determine if anyone has enough voter support to slow Bernie Sanders in the race to the Democratic nomination. ABC's Rachel Scott is in Columbia with the very latest. Rachel, good morning.
Whit, good morning. And former Vice President Joe Biden has a lot on the line today. He is looking to prove his strength in this race, counting on South Carolina for a comeback and hoping a victory here will launch his campaign into Super Tuesday. This morning, the polls are open in South Carolina, and Joe Biden is banking on the Palmetto State for a rebound.
You send me out of here with a victory that's significant, then I think I'm going to be the next nominee of the United States.
The former VP dropping by a Columbia barbershop, winning over some with his pitch.
I'm gonna vote for Joe Biden. Plain and simple. Nothing or no one can change my mind on that, okay? If I lose, I'm gonna lose with Joe Biden.
Biden is confident he will win today's primary. Black voters here made up 60% of the electorate in 2016.
Do you think a win in South Carolina will give your campaign enough of a boost heading into Super Tuesday?
I think I got the boost going already.
But other candidates are already flooding those delegate-rich Super Tuesday states, outspending Biden on ads.
And if you think my campaign is expensive, just imagine what 4 more years of Donald Trump would cost our country.
Frontrunner Senator Bernie Sanders racing from South Carolina to Massachusetts, rallying thousands on Senator Elizabeth Warren's home turf.
So this Tuesday, Super Tuesday, very important day, maybe the most important day in the whole primary process.
Warren fighting to gain momentum, telling me her closing argument.
I've been fighting all my life for my family and for working families.
And this race is turning national. The next 3 days will be critical. Almost every single candidate will be visiting a Super Tuesday state today, and billionaire Mayor Michael Bloomberg is beginning a massive push. His campaign plans to hold more than 2,000 events in 30 states ahead of Super Tuesday. Dan?
He's got the money to do it. Rachel Scott, thank you for much more on this. Let's bring in ABC's senior national correspondent, Terry Moran, who's right there in Charleston, South Carolina. Terry, good morning to you. So just given the war chest from Michael Bloomberg and the ongoing strength from Bernie, how big a victory does Joe Biden need in the state where you stand right now to rack up enough of a head of steam heading into Super Tuesday?
Well, he sure needs a win, Dan. There's no question. And a win is a win. Look, for a while, his polls were shaky, and he was sagging here. He seems to have righted the ship. He does have strong support in the black community, but he does need to pop here. It seems that his support is more dutiful than enthusiastic. You think of those armies of young Bernie supporters. He doesn't have that, and he needs money. Joe Biden's campaign is almost threadbare. He's not advertising in Super Tuesday states. Look, this election is about to ramp up from state by state to a national debate, a national election with Super Tuesday coming up. He needs money to get in those expensive media markets. He needs to demonstrate here, especially since his argument is he's the electable one, that he can win.
Me, when we were emailing before the show, in what ways could coronavirus shake up this race going forward?
You know, there's no question coronavirus is naturally and quite properly going to be an issue for a lot of voters going forward. And it does scramble the race. It has that potential. All of a sudden, these candidates are going to be measured a little differently. Many voters might judge them on how they might handle the threat or the actual fact of a looming pandemic. Candidates with more experience, maybe Biden or Bloomberg, handling big issues might do better with some voters. The voters might second guess a very young candidate like Pete Buttigieg. This is speculative, but there's no question that President Trump as well will be judged on this issue and others. That's not just politicizing it. That's a fact. This is a major public health issue. This is a presidential election. The two are going to collide. And at the end of the day, there may be a question, how can you hold primaries, conventions, even a general election when there is a contagion in the country? That could be a practical and pressing question as we go forward this year.
Indeed. Well said. We are heading into a turbulent time. Terry, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. And a reminder, ABC News will have complete coverage of the results from South Carolina tonight on ABC News and on our streaming channel, ABC News Live. And don't forget, on Super Tuesday, we'll have special coverage of the 15 contests across the country. That starts at 8 Eastern.
Well, America's longest war may finally be nearing an end. The U.S. signing a historic deal with the Taliban that could allow for the withdrawal of U.S. troops from Afghanistan. ABC's Julia McFarlane is in London with those details. Good morning, Julia.
Good morning, Eva. That's right. That signing ceremony is taking place just in a matter of minutes. And Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is there in the Qatari capital of Doha to oversee the formalities. The agreement establishes a timetable for the withdrawal of U.S. troops in exchange for guarantees from the Taliban not to allow groups, including al-Qaeda, to operate in their territory. Initially, the U.S. troops will be reduced to just over 8,000, down from their current level of 13,000 stationed in the country. We expect that to happen in the coming weeks. Now, this agreement does not mark the end of the conflict, but it is hoped it can finally pave the way for a lasting peace. Remember, the U.S. has spent $750 billion on this war, and tens of thousands of lives have been lost, including some 2,300 American soldiers in its 18-year history. Whit.
All right, Julia McFarlane for us, a pivotal day. Thank you so much. We do want to turn to weather now. Rob is here talking about a lot of snow in the Northeast this morning.
Happy Leap Day, by the way. February 29th, our last day of February. We're going out in a cold, rather wintry note. March 1st, the meteorological first day of spring. So there's hope. But look at this. We had blizzard conditions across parts of western New York and Pennsylvania, eastern Pennsylvania, western Pennsylvania, excuse me. Jefferson County, this is near Watertown. I mean, you slogging through blizzard conditions, you kidding me? Some of these areas had 3, even 4 feet of snow. A little farther south and west towards Erie, this snow is coming off Lake Erie, and this area along the interstate getting enough snow, obviously, to cause some problems. These lake effect snow bands are still cranking off, especially Lake Erie right now. Michigan and Superior also seeing some big snows, but these will wind down, and also some upper level support down across the south as the cold air is sunk all the way down well into the south. And wind chills this morning -8 in Green Bay, 7 in Detroit, and not so warm here in the Northeast either. Now to check out what's happening nationally, it's time now for a look at your local forecast.
Happy Saturday morning. Meteorologist Rachel Kay here with a look ahead through your afternoon. We'll see a mix of sun and clouds. It's going to be a cool day, about 10 degrees below average with highs peaking at 40. You factor in that breeze we're going to have continuing through today. It's going to feel closer to about 32. Clouds will clear overnight tonight. It's going to be chilly again heading into tomorrow morning as well. We'll start off in the upper 20s, mostly sunny 50s tomorrow. 60s return next week with our weather maker bringing rain Monday night, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
One more week before we spring ahead on the clocks.
Okay.
I thought that groundhog saw his shadow. Isn't that supposed to be early spring?
Yeah.
He's not right, is he?
It's coming.
So Rob has problems with the rodent.
You always bring up the rodent. It's really unbelievable. We had spring. It was early. It was in January.
It doesn't count. Moving on. A small plane traveling from Idaho made an emergency landing in California after some scary moments in the air. The plane carrying 4 passengers and the pilot coming from Idaho Falls touching down in San Jose, California after a 45-minute ride. The pilot reporting mechanical difficulties. Everyone involved was able to make it off that plane unharmed.
All right, Janae's here with an amazing